Hi, I'm Susan and welcome to my revival. This is part 3 of my life-altering event. And my question during recovery became, how close had I come to dying? I understand my treatment options were serious, dangerous. I understand head honcho guy made the comment about me probably being able to be sitting there right now because I'd had the blood thinner shot the day before. But no one in the hospital likes to mention the word death. They don't like to say how close to death you are. Hence, probably all those strained doctor faces. But during recovery, this became something I really wanted to know. How close had I come to nearly dying? I'm a person who thinks pretty analytically. I like to have all my information. And no one was really specific about this. And so it became something I was really interested in finding out from medical professionals. How close had I come? The first follow-up I got about this, I met with my surgeon, the original one, who had been working with me about fighting cancer in my uterus and was going to do my hysterectomy. She had been on vacation when I was admitted to the hospital. And when I met with her upon her return, I said, how close had I come? And she said, the man who called her, the doctor, head honcho guy actually called her. If you'll remember in part 1, when I mentioned all the doctors in the room and how he ended up coming in later. He ended up coming in later because he gave her a call. She was on vacation in New Zealand. She was from there. And when he called her to tell her her patient had been admitted to the hospital, he learned she was from New Zealand. And he said that he was Irish and that maybe they should get together and talk soccer sometime. And he's chit-chatting. And she says to me that she had to interrupt him and say, excuse me, how's my patient? And he said, oh, I don't know, I haven't checked on her yet. I think he said, I haven't seen her yet. And she said, before you get upset at the idea that, he didn't rush to your side, to check on you right away, she said, I really think he thought you'd be dead when he got there. Another medical appointment I went to follow up this life-altering event, I was informed I had to go to a follow-up with a cardiopulmonary specialist, but no one I'd seen in the hospital was either covered by my insurance or they didn't take my insurance. Either way, they just said you have to find a new cardiopulmonary specialist to get a follow-up. About 3 months after, excuse me. So I went to a brand new cardiopulmonary specialist who'd never seen a file of mine, never saw me in the hospital, had never met me before. And I went there knowing, since a massive pulmonary embolism is what I'd had, and a cardiopulmonary specialist is who deals with that and is familiar with that, I went in there knowing I want to know how close had I come? What had happened, or what, I just really wanted to know, had I nearly died? Or was it that the treatments and everything, I was just sort of close, or I had a 40% chance. I kind of just wanted to know, how bad was it? I'm not sure why that mattered to me, but it did. And I think God knew that. And I'm not sure how I'm going to go in the retelling of this particular meeting. I've been thinking it over, and I thought about retelling it just sort of by, mini reenactment. And then I thought, well, I'll just tell it. But I'm not sure exactly how it's going to come out. I'm going to give it my best shot. I've tried a few times, and I've never gotten it out the same way twice. Picture, if you will, a normal exam room. It's got the exam table. Those horrible tables, they're not really beds, and they're not really tables. They're metal, and you step up on them, and they sort of tip, and they're horrible. And in the room, it's just a normal room for an exam room with a little counter with a sink on it, and little stool, little black stool with the little 3 legs with the wheels. I'm sitting on the exam table, and I'm waiting for the doctor to come in, and he comes in as doctors do, and they're reading your file as they come in. Hello, I'm Dr. So-and-so, and they're flipping. He's looking in the file. He takes a step in the room, and he's got my file up, and he says, hello, I'm doctor, and he's mid-second step in the room, just right inside the door. And file's open. He's looking at my file. He stops mid-sentence, mid-step, staring at the file and says, wow, you nearly died. And he looks at me and he says, I mean, you nearly died. He didn't laugh. It's just that I've never been able to retell this without laughing. I don't know if it's nervous laughter or just the shock. His shock was so complete. And he walks around the foot of my exam table in front of me, and I said, I was going to ask. That was one of the things I wanted to know today, was just, how bad was it? And he walks by the little counter with the sink on it, drops my file on it, and as he's doing that, points at it and says, I've never seen anyone survive that low of aspiration. I have no idea how you're sitting here right now. And he pulls up the little stool, and he looks at me, and from then on I feel like, maybe something growing in a petri dish a laboratory technician's never seen, or that idea of the botanist finding the plant in the rainforest that everyone says is extinct, but they found it. He's looking at me, he's pulled his chair up and he's looking at me like he's blown away. He's seeing this specimen sitting here right now. He was, I'm sure, a very nice man, but the thing is, he hadn't ever seen me before, and he'd had no time to pre-read my information, so he didn't have a Dr. Poker face at all. And yet, God knew I needed it. There was no filter. There was no denial. This man was blown away. And I took a note here on the conversation to make sure I don't leave something out. He said, it's a miracle you're sitting here right now. He said, I don't know how you made it from the ER parking lot to the ER. And he did this. He said, you were, boom, walking dead. I have no idea how you're sitting here right now. And it just tickles me. I know it's weird to tickle me, I guess, but he was just so emphatic. He was just mind blown. And I told him how, I don't know if you remember from the previous video, but I told him how I almost didn't call that day. Remember, it was a Thursday, and I'd been telling myself, well, I'll wait and I'll just call Monday. So I told him, I almost didn't call. I thought I'd wait through the weekend. He said, you wouldn't be sitting here right now. He said, I have no idea how you survived this. This meeting was one I really needed to hear. I needed no filter. I needed a doctor to say to me how bad it was. And I now knew he'd never seen anyone survive this before. Ever. I now knew that head honcho guy didn't rush to my bedside because he figured I was going to be dead when he got to the table. I wasn't supposed to survive this. Medically, every specialist I've spoken to, every surgeon, everyone I've spoken to says they don't know how I survived this. Not like there was a 10% chance of survival or something. It was, they have no idea how I'm sitting here right now. And that's heavy information to absorb. I wanted it. But it was heavy to absorb. It's one of those situations where people talk about God could take you or leave you when he left you. I know that's true because medical professionals don't know how I'm sitting here talking to you right now. They've never seen anyone survive it before. This life-altering event became a life-altering event for me because it had become now medically exceedingly clear I shouldn't be here right now. I shouldn't have survived this. So why did I survive it? What did God have in store for me? I wasn't sure, but I thought, okay, I've had my wake-up call.